Before there was Jesus, before the Bible, before the idea of one single God, there was a story told by the sun itself, a story written not in paper or stone, but in light. Every morning, the same miracle took place. Darkness retreated, the sky burned gold, and the sun returned from death. The ancients watched this endless rhythm and saw divinity. They called the rising sun Horus, the rising one, the Son of God. To them, he wasn't a symbol of belief, but the source of life itself. Horus was born each morning, traveled across the heavens through the day, and at night he died, swallowed by shadow, only to be reborn at dawn. The Egyptians did not invent this story, they discovered it in the sky. They saw the pattern long before any scripture: light, death, resurrection, the original trinity of existence. Horus was said to be the child of Isis and Osiris. Osiris, the god of life and vegetation, was murdered by his brother Set, the god of chaos and darkness. Isis gathered the broken pieces of her husband, restored him through divine power, and conceived a son. That son, Horus, became the living light, born from death, destined to avenge the shadow and restore balance to the world. By day, Horus soared across the sky as a falcon, his golden wings stretched over heaven and earth, his eyes watching all, one eye the sun, the other the moon. But few remember that his flight was not only symbolic, it was measured. The priests of Egypt divided his journey across the sky into 12 sacred stages, 12 steps of light from dawn to dusk. Those 12 stages became what we now call hours. Hours and Horus, only a single letter apart. Time itself was named after the sun. As the 12th hour approached, the people gathered along the Nile. They watched as the light shimmered across the water, reflecting the golden disk of the dying sun. In that reflection, they saw the falcon god walking upon the water. They whispered to one another, "Horus walks on water before Set takes the sky." For when the sun touched the horizon, it was not only the end of the day, it was the triumph of Set. The word sunset still carries his name, for it is the moment when Set takes over the sun and casts the world into darkness. Each evening, Horus was defeated and descended into the underworld. Each morning, he rose again, victorious. The eternal story of life, death, and resurrection, told every 24 hours. To the Egyptians, this wasn't just religion, it was reality. They built their temples with cosmic precision so that sunlight would pierce their inner chambers at exact moments of the year, at the solstices and equinoxes, marking the eternal journey of the sun. They weren't guessing. They were measuring the heavens. They knew the tilt of the earth, the rhythm of the stars, the geometry of light. Today, some will tell you that such perfection was impossible, that ancient Africans could not have built such glorious structures, so exact and mathematically aligned. But they forget something vital. The cognitive revolution, the awakening of symbolic and abstract thought, happened long before these monuments. By the time the Nile Valley bloomed, human minds had already begun to see numbers, patterns, and meaning in the natural world. The Egyptians didn't stumble into genius, they refined it. They mastered geometry and astronomy. They built pyramids that align almost perfectly with true north, a precision modern engineers still find astonishing. Their monuments were not just tombs, they were calendars in stone, instruments measuring the dialogue between heaven and earth. For them, light was more than divine. It was information. Each beam, each shadow, each rising star told them when to sow, when to harvest, when to celebrate the rebirth of the sun. They were not primitive. They were the first scientists of the spirit. When the first ray of morning light entered the temples of Karnak or Abu Simbel, it struck the face of the god inside. To them, that beam was not mere sunlight. It was Horus himself, awakening the world. And when the light faded at sunset, it meant the god had descended into the darkness to battle the serpent of chaos once more. In their language, this eternal struggle lived on. The horizon was Horus rising, the place where light is born. Even today, the word horizon still whispers his name. Morning sounds like mourning, grief for the dying sun, and yet every morning ends with the resurrection of light. Our language remembers even when our minds forget. Over thousands of years, this knowledge of the sun spread across continents. The same story appeared in Persia as Mithras, in Greece as Apollo, in Rome as Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. Every culture retold the same truth in a different voice. The light dies, and the light returns. And though the names changed, the sky remained the same. When people looked up, they still saw Horus, even if they called him something else. They saw the same golden chariot, the same 12 stages, the same resurrection written across the heavens. The story of Horus was not only spiritual, it was educational. It taught people to understand the balance between chaos and order, between light and dark, between death and renewal. To the Egyptians, Horus represented truth, justice, and divine order, what they called Ma'at. To live in harmony with Ma'at was to live in balance with the movement of the sun, and so each day became a lesson. The dawn taught that no darkness lasts forever. The noon reminded them of strength and clarity. The sunset warned them of pride and impermanence. And the night, the long shadow of Set, reminded them that even in darkness, light is preparing to return. Everything in nature echoed this rhythm: the flood of the Nile, the cycle of the moon, the breath of the seasons. To the Egyptians, Horus was not a myth to be worshipped, but a mirror to be understood. In him, they saw themselves, fragile beings rising from the chaos, searching for light. And when they spoke of the afterlife, they didn't imagine a distant heaven. They imagined sailing with the sun through the stars, conquering darkness each night, reborn each morning. To be one with Horus was to be one with the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. So when you look at your clock, think of Horus. When you watch the horizon, remember his name hidden inside the word. When you see a sunset, know that Set is taking the throne only for a while. Because every night is temporary, every darkness prepares the way for dawn. The story of Horus is the first resurrection story ever told, not of a man, but of the light itself, and it still lives in our time, our language, our days, our very concept of life and death. This is only the beginning. In Part 2, we'll follow how this ancient solar story transformed into the tale of the Son of God. A man born in a stable, surrounded by 12 followers who walked on water, was betrayed by darkness and rose again with the dawn. If this story opened your eyes, leave a comment below. Tell me which part made you see the sun differently. Like the video, subscribe for Part 2, and share this story of light with someone who still thinks these were just myths. Because the truth, like the sun, always rises again.